Antoine, how are you?
Hey, well, indeed.
Yeah, good to
How
see
are
you. Thank you so much for joining me. So it's now June 29th.
Yeah.
It's 3 p.m. CET.
Someone's coming from another door. But hello. Ta-ta!
Well, okay. To be fair, like I love your team also because part of the success of what you've created is this idea of happiness, of shared enthusiasm, of passion, and the fact that everyone's so superhuman. And last night we shared an incredibly human moment, which was the unveiling of your watch for only watch,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Which is
Yes.
mind-blowing. So tell us a little
Thank
bit
you.
about this incredible Octo Finissimo Tourbillon marble.
Yes. The beauty with this project of Only Watch is the fact that obviously there is a form of competition in our capacity to expose the best of ourselves.
Right.
I'm talking about all the brands who are participating to this event. So expectations are high, the bar is high, but in a way, the fact that it's only one watch gives us the opportunity to push these boundaries. We are not entering into a massive industrialization process. It's really a masterpiece in the initial sense of masterpiece, the piece that craftsmen do to express the pure essence of their arts and of their knowledge. And this is the way we take it. And to do so, we discussed with Fabrizio, and there was one project who never came to reality that is very dear to Fabrizio's heart, and we need to give him justice for this extraordinary piece that is coming. And this project was to actually use a material that is very unusual in the industry, but is so much at the heart of our identity,
Right.
and it's marble. And so we've always had this idea of doing an Octo Finissimo in marble. But again, and we can talk a little bit later about the complexity of the manufacturing process of this piece. But the conclusion, after years and years of research, because the first idea came in 2017, and the first encounter with the partner was in 2017, we couldn't find a way to do it in a repetitive way. So the piece was staying there, but clearly after we've joined Only Watch, we thought, that's the stage for something that is so meaningful to us, and to finally come and propose the watch. And so we are presenting this Octo Finissimo Tourbillon marble watch with a marble which is called Verdi Alpi, which is a marble that is extracted in a cave in the Val d'Aosta, so in Italy, and it's a green marble. Why green? Because fundamentally, when you are looking at, let's talk about the Baroque period in Rome more than, of course, the Roman era. In the Roman era, you will see a lot of white marble, but when you look at the churches or the palazzos, the palazzi in Roma of the 16th and 17th century, you will find green and red marble. And so the decision, and it's again, this is the studio decision, was to go for green marble. And so you've got this fully monochromatic in a way, because obviously there are plenty of veins in the marble, but monochromatic approach, which is very, very at the heart of Finissimo, of Octo Finissimo, like the full monochromatic titanium piece, which was the original piece. But here it's the full marble watch, featuring our very first world record, which was the very first Octo Finissimo caliber of Octo, which is the Tourbillon.
Well, that's incredible. I love the connection, as you were saying, with the architecture that we see in Rome from the Baroque period. And when you look at these beautiful basilicas, you see this green marble over it, right? I think what people don't realize is that it's not solid marble.
No.
It's a process of putting powdered marble and making it into a solid,
Exactly.
sintering it, I suppose.
Exactly,
Right?
exactly.
And so tell us a little bit about this process. So the marble is extracted from a source in Italy, and then it's made into a powder and then reconstituted on the surface of a titanium
Exactly.
core, right? Like, how does that happen?
Exactly. But if you look again, if you visit the sites in Italy, and you see those huge columns of marble, the very vast majority of them are actually not from marble. It's impossible. First, it's impossible to transfer, to transport, to create this connection. So how do people do actually? And you can see this in some monuments, because you will see some fractures or some partially destroyed elements, and you'll find out that there is the stone, and it's actually, and the stone is somewhat coated with marble around it, and that's how you manage to have the structure. So basically, we apply the same approach to the watch, and we are using those. With our partners, with a marble company based in Italy, they are recreating these fragments of marble from, again, powder, agglomerated powder, in every part of the watch is made with one element of marble. So you remember in the Octo Finissimo there are 110 facets.
Yes. So
there are 110 elements of marble that are put together and agglomerated on the case, on the structure, which is a titanium structure, to rebuild this marble watch, and really following the same principle of the architecture of Roman times.
Wow. You know, you were mentioning that it's 0.4 mm in terms of thickness.
Yes.
The marble coating on the case and the bracelet, on every link of the bracelet, incidentally, every one of which is different, which is crazy.
Exactly.
And then 0.6 mm in terms of thickness for the dial.
For the brass, yes, over the brass of the dial.
But what's extraordinary is that when you look at the watch, the beauty of the marble, the veins and the colors all are consistent. Like they form a distinct, consistent pattern. That must have been a crazy process.
It's super complicated, because basically when the marble is a stone, and the structures are very, very thin, as we said. We're talking about 0.6 millimeters, so it's fragile. Let's be clear, it's fragile. So obviously, if you break one of the elements, you have to redo the whole structure. So we have different elements. To be fair, it's not just one sort of continuity, complete continuity, but it's true that there is continuity between the major elements that you see, and of course, it creates this kind of very risky situation, whereby if you break one or two components, you have to restart. And that's why it was too complicated, too complex to make a series of watches. I mean, we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of hours just to do the coating. Again, not necessarily specifically. There's the technique, but there's the fact that when you break, you have to redo.
Wow.
And so that's why for us it's technically not feasible to do a large series of products. So this is why Only Watch was an amazing opportunity for us to expose this watch, because probably it's the purest expression of the way we are working and who we are as a watchmaker, with our identity that really explodes in this design.
Yeah, there's an exuberance of emotional expression there, which you don't really see in other brands, and I think it speaks to your innate sort of Roman nature. You were saying that because after you put the coating on, the pieces are not at the level of Bvlgari, and so then you have to, even apply the anglage to every. Yeah. And you think you broke 6 bracelets in the process of making one.
Yes. But in this process of actually having to redo and systematically re-express. You start from scratch every time. Wow. This is why we have. I mean, it's not the bracelet that we break, but it's the coating that we break, and that's the whole thing. So, and then that's what led us to the conclusion to say, come on, it's going to be a nightmare to develop. And also, to be fair, Only Watch is a moment when we meet people who are passionate about watchmaking, and who understand the extraordinary specificity of one-of-a-kind pieces. Mm-hmm. And so you can have a discussion, you know that they will bring the appropriate attention to the product. When you sell, and we are selling in our own boutiques, but also through partners, we eventually don't necessarily know whether the people who purchase have a full understanding of what they are purchasing. Here we're really talking about a masterpiece of crafts and art. And having one piece allows us to explain this and somewhat to brief the person who will one day purchase the watch.
I mean, it's the equivalent of like a Brancusi sculpture.
Thank you.
You observe it as a piece of art. Right?
I take the compliment.
You now have such an amazing completeness as an offer, because you have the Octo Finissimo S, which is the watch that you can pretty much wear on a daily basis and jump in the water, and also the Octo Roma now as well. You have the Octo Finissimo, which is kind of like the sports, like kind of the racing car version of that. Then you have projects like the Ultra, which are like the insane hypercars.
Yeah.
And then you have now these one-of-a-kind, pieces of art like the marble. Is this something that you would like to continue to present, like in the same way that you do incredible jewelry? Do you think unique watches like this is something that can captivate people?
We love the idea, and to be fair, the fact that we have this spirit, this soul in the company of appreciating people for who they are and therefore accepting them as they are, which also means accepting that they can be amazingly incredible in the added value they bring, but they can also make mistakes in the reality in every day. So being who we are authentically allows collective intelligence, and what I mean by that is God knows how many ideas there are to express our identity as a watchmaker, as an Italian watchmaker, and there are really a lot of ideas. And so, yes, only unique one pieces, extraordinary crafts is something we love to do. Capacity is not to bring ideas, it's to make them, turn them into a reality. Because together with the idea, there is the execution that needs to be perfect. And that takes time. And that takes resources. And today, we see the success of our approach because there are demands and there are more and more demands. And we have to ask our clients to be patient because this level of craft and of expertise, or even the time it takes to find the right people to do things that clearly are not necessarily completely internal, because we're really pushing the boundaries and we don't have all the know-hows internally, even if we have lots of them. It requires time. So again, it's a matter of patience and growing progressively, mastering also new techniques progressively, and I think but it's also something we appreciate. We are pushing ourselves, so we are in a constant learning journey, which is exciting. And again, this marble piece is a perfect expression of it.
It's awesome. I have a last question because I know your next interview is here. I know that there are other groups or other brands that are canceling their orders with suppliers, and yet you are in a position where you are still overwhelmed with demand. I think it's the daringness, the excitement, the relationship and commitment to being relevant that has made you so exciting. Would you agree, sir?
I agree, but I would add something, and probably it's age that makes me say this, but the big thing is making the most of the moment, which is super exciting and so much rewarding, but also knowing that we need to stay, and I guess it's not a gross word, but we need to stay humble vis-à-vis extraordinary creativity in this world first. Vis-à-vis the fact that it's a journey, as I said, and there are lots of areas where we're not perfect. I think accepting ourselves as people internally, the way we are, understanding that we make mistakes, makes us think that if we make mistakes, there's still a room for progression. And this philosophy makes sense as long as we stick to it. So being super proud of what we achieved, but also knowing that there is room to grow, and keeping this perspective that we can improve is super important, because then in keeping this mindset, we can continue the successful journey.
Thank you, sir. Amazing.